Cowboys at Vikings, and this is my free video pick of the entire football season. I love this game. I'm pounding this game. But first, Marco, from your perspective, what should bettors be looking at?
Well, the big question, obviously, is how's Brett Favre going to react to everything that's going on in his personal life right now? I think his character, he will bounce back with a big game. And in all honesty, that's the one way to get this distraction away from him is the answer on the field. If he has a bad game, it's just going to get worse.
All right, well, I'm going to get right to it. I love the Vikings here. Really, ultimately, what a handicapper is doing, and what we've talked about in all the videos this week kind of leads into this, is he has a power ranking on the teams. We talked about that. We talked about the fact that the power ranking can be three components within it, and then there can be variations of that, road and home specifically. Is you say how good's the offense, how good's the defense, how good's the special teams. Now you tweak it for home and away. Is this an especially good home team? Is it an especially good road team? Now you can also tweak it for how you play against certain teams. Is you can say, well, this team does really well against running teams, or this team does really poorly against running teams, et cetera, et cetera. So you have your initial power rankings. You can tweak for fundamental matchups, and you can tweak for situational stuff. Hey, this team just played a Monday night game. So, for example, Minnesota might be tweaked down a little bit, or would be tweaked down because they just played a Monday night game. And then you tweak for motivation. Hey, if you just came off a big win and you've already, clearly in extreme cases, you locked up a playoff spot, you don't need to win this game. So there's all these factors. To me, when I look at this, this comes down to pure value. Is Minnesota, to me, is significantly better than Dallas. I'm not, it might be 2 points better. I'm not so sure this line shouldn't be 5. And usually we're talking, well, the real value is 2.5 points, and 3 is such a key number. I literally think if this line was 5, I still wouldn't be in a hurry to take the Cowboys. So I guess my question is, who's the better team, right? Forgetting the game tweaks right now, who's the better team?
I clearly think Minnesota's the better team, and here's why. I've got both teams are at 1-3, okay? Obviously, the loser of this game, their season's basically over. But when I look at the Minnesota Vikings, they're 1-3, but they've been in all 4 of their ball games. It's all come down to one possession at the end of the game that they could either won or lost. The difference has been they've had 11 turnovers in 4 games. That's what's killed this team. And I know this is going to sound like a silly statement, but you know me, how I read lines and that. The fact that this game is only 1.5 right now for the spread is the only thing that gives me pause. You're going to bust on me, but if this line was 4, I would be pounding the Vikings, and that's really where I think the line should be.
And that's the thing. If you don't know Marco, let's just put it up in red lights here, is give me the Vikings at 1.5. It's going to be a small bet, but make me lay 4, baby, and I'm pounding it. For new listeners, that's going to sound crazy. Give us the 30-second version of why.
Again, I've made a history of success during my career. The lines maker reading what he's doing with the line and what he's trying to induce you to do. And to me, if that line would be 4, they would be begging you to take the Dallas Cowboys.
Now, here's the thing, is you actually have 2 types of bets. You have your trap bets, where it looks like Vegas is trying to force you to do one thing, you do the other. And then you have your value bets. And the way you've always explained it is, with the value bets, you think you're getting the best of the line, but not because you disagree with the public. And that's the whole thing. It's not so much that Vegas is trying to push you to do something. You just have a different opinion than the public, and Vegas has a line out there neutral, not trying to push the public to do anything, but you think that they're off by 3 points. Dallas seems like the ideal team that has a premium on them. They're America's team. They have the number 1 premium, the most premium of any team in the league. So the fact that this line's off makes sense because it's the Dallas premium, in my opinion.
I agree with that. I can't disagree with that. Also, but the problem is here, you've got 2 teams in total disarray. I mean, Dallas...
Is Minnesota in total disarray?
With the circus that's going on...
that's the thing is these are pros. Do you really think they care about about Favre's nude pictures? They care about winning.
You know, I agree they care about winning, and
It might be Favre that's emotionally messed up over this, but do you think Randy Moss or the middle linebacker cares? They just want him to play well.
They want him to play well, but really, how much stuff can you put up with in a given season, given the holdout, come to camp
Maybe
late?
I think this is where the Moss thing. I mean, there's this sense, and you still hear it this week, is when the other receiver comes back from Minnesota, this is going to be one of the best offenses in the league.
I agree 100%.
So if they can hold on.
And the guy that's going to benefit the best out of this is going to be Percy Harvin. He's going to be the guy that's going to be left with, getting the third best guy covering him.
It's going to, and they just got to win a couple of games before the receiver comes back. All right. Actually, Vegas, I tell you, the thing about the Vegas odds makers, man, they get stubborn. Last few years, they've always been stubborn about USC. They might have 3 losses, and they're still ranked number 1 in the odds makers poll.
Well, that guy is gone now. That was this stubborn. That might be why.
The USC bias. Cowboys ranked 6th in football by the odds makers poll. ESPN has them 19th.
That's a big difference.
Vikings 8th. So you've got 2 teams, 1 and 3, 6 and 8. ESPN has them 20. So they're both massively underrated according to Vegas. I agree on the Vikings side, not on the Cowboys side. But still, even if you agree with Vegas in the high ranking on the Cowboys, 6 and 8 means these are close to even teams, slight edge of the Cowboys. At 3, maybe you should be, so now let's say Minnesota at home. Now, Minnesota is one of the few teams with a massive home field advantage. I mean, really, that Metrodome is a huge, some believe the biggest home field advantage in the NFL. So let's say typically their home field is 3 minus 120, a little bit more than 3. Now, let's say Dallas is slightly better, so the line's 3. And now maybe say, even money. Now maybe say that the Monday night factor is tweaking things a little bit. So maybe you should be, if you want Cowboys plus 3, you should be getting back, or you should have to lay 120 or 130. So, again, it's hard to move things a half a point off of 3, but to me, at truly pick 'em, it's all value.
I agree with everything you're saying, and I hate to use the phrase must win, and obviously both teams are in it, but I got to say Minnesota's in it even more because they do have a team in their division that is sitting at 4-1 with the Bears. Second, this is a bad stretch scheduling-wise for Minnesota. This is their only home game in a 4-week schedule. They played last week at the Jets, and their next 2 games are at Green Bay and New England on the road. They need to win this game or they're in deep you-know-what.
All right. One last point before I give my official projection here is talking about that legit home field. Last year, Minnesota at home beat Dallas 34-3. And what's the main thing about Minnesota's home field is the crowd noise. And this is a Dallas team that just is naturally high penalty team, not super organized, not super regimented, and that crowd noise, false starts, and all. I think the Cowboys are more susceptible than most to having the crowd noise mess with them.
Well, with Tony Romo at quarterback, I would agree with that. I will say one thing. That is the only thing that you mentioned that did give me pause on the Minnesota side. That loss that you mentioned, that was a playoff loss.
But we already agreed that both teams have both teams, their season's on the line here. Once you up to max motivation, you can't. Dallas is going to say, our season's over if we lose, but the fact we lost last year, I'm going to get more motivated. You can only be so motivated.
It is a handicapping tool that I do use. Playoff revenge is a huge motivator. And we've already had one team cash this year, Arizona against New Orleans.
All right. So my official best bet free game of the year is on the Vikings to roll in this game, I think. I wouldn't take the Cowboys at getting 5. So I think we've got 4+ points of value through 3 here. So
just please, if you hit your game of the year, please don't text out any pictures of any private parts in celebration.
All right, now it's your turn to continue the conversation in the comment section with me and Marco. And next up, we're talking Sunday Night Football, Colts at Redskins.